All right, YouTube, we back again with Strong Successful Male, man. How y'all doing, man? I'm feeling great. Like I always say, bro, keeping God first, man. Hope y'all keeping God first, man. I hope y'all staying blessed, man. And yeah, man, we finna get back into it, bro. It's part 2 of Good Husband Goes Scorched Earth after delusional wife threatens to take his son and divorce. Let's get into it, bro. Shouts out SSM, man. Like the video. Video. Let's do it.
Alright guys, welcome back to Strong Successful Male. So for today, we'll be covering part 2 to the story I covered earlier, all about the husband who eventually, quite frankly, goes scorched earth on his wife after the marriage implodes. And where we left off, our guy had just gotten married. He was talking about the finances and all that. She's a whole bunch of debt. He's trying to handle things in a way that's beneficial, but also protecting himself in case things go wrong. And he made a lot of mistakes marrying her, and her family's a bunch of wackos. And now you're going to see where things go, and of course, the big finale.
Mm-hmm.
So it continues. He says here, after our marriage, she was always reluctant to sit down and talk about money and would actively avoid any attempts to get her involved in the budgeting process because she didn't want to. I chalked up as her holding a grudge that I brought about with her father's budgeting advice. I later found out that she was skipping money and likely didn't want it found out while I was looking at her finances. There you go. As soon as we were married, my pay was deposited directly into our joint checking account, and then my allowance was transferred into my personal account. Smack, you nuts. That money should have gone into your personal account and money used for budgeting for the budget to the joint account, not the other way around. Hers was set up for her pay to be deposited into her personal account, and she kept her allowance out of it,
exactly,
and transferred the remainder into our joint checking account. Oh, what a great deal for her.
Same.
I can't believe you agreed to this. Smack. I trusted her, so this didn't bother me. He says, yeah, no, smack. But essentially, without checking each pay stub, I had no visibility of how much money she actually brought in versus what she said she did.
Basically, what he didn't do, she did with the money. So her money that she got went into her personal account. When the money that he didn't get, his main income went into the joint, and his allowance put into his personal. She didn't do that with her money. She did what he was supposed to do.
No way to verify that she was not returning more than she had agreed to. I trusted her at the time, so I didn't think this discrepancy was worth addressing. I know, smack. Yeah, smack. I told you got a lot of smacks. No. She knows what you're making. You need to know what she makes. If your money's going to the joint account, which is dumb, then her money should be going to that. It's like on certain areas, you were intelligent. In other areas, dude, dumb. But then again, it's amazing how dumb people can be with people they think they love. I know you make a comeback, but God almighty, man. I had many expensive hobbies. I loved to shoot, hunt, had a concealed carry permit, and used to buy weaponry every month or so. Rather than giving my hobbies up entirely to pay off her debt, I began building firearms and selling them on the side to allow me to expand my gun collection and keep me preoccupied.
Okay.
I vigorously checked into the laws regarding such things and was able to do so legally and without a license so long as certain thresholds were not crossed. I was very serious about not crossing them because staying on the right side of Johnny Law is critical to maintaining your freedom. Well, obviously, follow the laws.
Facts.
Once we had our child, our relationship changed significantly.
Damn.
It usually does. I noticed more and more disrespect from my wife and did not address it immediately. Sex began to taper off, but rather than saying anything, I chalked up as postpartum hormones and gave her the benefit of the doubt, even though our child was over a year old.
Oh, hell no.
And that just tells her she can keep doing what she's doing.
Exactly. Hell no.
Oddly, one of the most obvious examples of this disrespect I can think of right now was when I began to notice how she responded to me when I would return from hunting trips. I'm an avid hunter and always have been. I began to notice that when I would return successful from a hunt, she would seem upset even though I was always the one to process the game myself. So it cost her nothing when I brought home more meat for us to eat, but when I would come home empty-handed, she'd be more pleasant. I began testing her reactions by claiming that I hadn't got anything when actually I had, and vice versa, and her responses were entirely predictable. I'm done trying to figure her out.
Yeah.
Chick's mental.
She's stupid.
This is when I knew this woman resented me.
He said, chick's mental. No cap. Like, what the hell are you... How are you mad that he didn't bring the meat home? I mean, how are you happy that he didn't bring the meat home? I would be mad. I would be like, damn, babe, like, okay, next go should be good. Next go should be good. Hopefully there's some out there. She mad? She feel good because you didn't bring food to the house? What the hell y'all gonna eat?
With my success and happy when I failed. I couldn't trust someone who was not my advocate. I began to verify small things rather than talking with her about it. And I found out that she had lied to me multiple times over the next 6 months. The lies I caught her in were less important to me than the fact that she was lying to me. Brother, all of us, upon hearing in part 1 your description of her and her family, could have told you this is how it's going to turn out. The first one was about our child vaccination records. I am not an anti-vaxxer, and this was long before COVID, but believe prudence dictates that you should weigh the pros and cons of each vaccine before deciding to give it to your kid. Mercy and I had agreed that at 6 months we would give our child the vaccinations required for daycare, but not the additional ones that are commonly recommended, but in our view offered little added benefit. When our child was 5 months old, I followed up to ask when the 6-month vaccination appointment was, and she told me that she'd already taken our child in for vaccinations and had simply forgotten to mention it.
No, she didn't.
That explanation did not sit right with me. We had the discussion, the timing, and scope at length, and I couldn't accept that the early timing had been accidental oversight. She maintained that it was for an honest mistake. I told her I did not believe it was.
Exactly.
I restated our agreement and my expectation that we make these decisions together, and I left it there. Yeah, one ear out the other. You're not enforcing this, so she's like, whatever, jackass.
All right.
2 months later, as we were...
Next time you do that shit, it's going to be a problem. And if you can't get your shit together, we're done. Because it's not only your child.
The next appointment window, I asked her to provide the vaccination records, which she was hesitant to provide, and when I reviewed them, I discovered that she had taken our child in a second time without discussing it with me, and had again authorized more vaccinations than we agreed to, both at the 5-month visit and the later appointment.
Yeah, it's over with.
Not good. You both have to be on the same page of these things.
Exactly. What the freak?
I made clear that my concern was not primarily about the vaccines themselves. They were generally low risk, and our child did not experience any observable adverse reactions. My issue was the process. As the father, I have a voice in decisions that affect our child's health. A mother does not get to make the unilateral decisions behind my back and then characterize them as accidents. You're damn right about that.
Exactly.
But she has no respect for you, so therefore she's not going to adhere to any of these things. I told her she was truly believed my position placed our child at risk. Then I would expect her to tell me directly. If we disagreed and could not reach a compromise, and she still felt compelled to act to protect our child, I would at least expect honesty about that decision. What I could not accept was agreement to my face, followed by actions taken in secret. In a marriage, I need honesty and transparency, not quiet decisions that undermine trust. That's been your whole relationship, brother.
Mm-hmm.
Mercy's lies started to pile up. They usually do. Not a single one of them was earth-shattering, but taken together as a whole, they demonstrated that I did not have a partner. I had a rival who would lie straight to my face. Then, when I was able to prove that she was lying, would create a new lie that contradicted the last one while assuring me the truth. It was the truth. Over and over again, where I could never be sure if she was telling me the truth or if I just caught the new lie yet. She's mind fucking you, making the point that your brain hurts.
Mm-hmm.
What a great marriage. She could not be trusted, so I told her I was separating from her because I could not be the only person committed to the marriage, nor could I be married to someone I couldn't trust. I changed the combination of my safe, took out half the cash, told her to do the same, and I left to work on the road, leaving her to be to my house.
Thank you.
I told her I would return once she decided she wanted to be married, and that I didn't want a divorce, but this would be my boundary. I would have a wife I could trust or no wife at all.
Right.
Well, that's good. The problem is you now have left, and she's in your house with your kid, and she can now prepare to do whatever she wants to do.
Right.
Over the next week or so, we spoke a couple of times and agreed to do counseling and set a date for me to return.
I wouldn't have left. I would have told her ass that shit to her face. And I would have stayed. I'm not sleeping on the couch. You can take your ass to the couch.
A few days later, she told me that her best girlfriend had flown into town to help her go through this. I knew this was a bad sign. What, she a nurse too? The next day she called to inform me that she had filed for divorce. And we're off. Of course. She's the first one to do it. And then you say she's got lawyers in her family?
Female
she said
friends.
she was going to try to move with our child back to her home state. I told her I would fight her if she tried. Oh, now she's taking your kid from you. Again, nobody's surprised, given all what you described to her in the beginning. The thought of losing my child stole all my resolve. I did not want a divorce. I just wanted a partner. My hope had been that this demonstration would show her how serious I was. Rather than toe the line, I folded. I told her that I was dropping everything and was getting the first flight home to discuss this. She agreed to talk when I landed. I left my company over a decade in a jam, walked off the job, and straight to the airport. You really think she's going to be reasonable with you, brother?
Exactly.
No. I know you're obviously willing to deal just for you to have your son, but no.
And then you're better with finances than her, so the child is going to be better in your hands because you're the father. So you can teach the child, especially with him being a boy. You're going to teach him how to manage his aggression, how to handle his testosterone. You know what I'm saying? How to be a man. Like, so a woman can't do that. Boys get to a specific age and they start to disrespect their mothers because they know they can walk over their mothers. Like, nah, bro. And you save your money. You know what I'm saying? You're better with your money. You're better with your living than her. So he's going to be in a better situation. He's going to be in a better living situation with you than her, bro. So hell nah, get your son, bro.
Never planned to be married to you forever, man, just so she can get what she wanted out of all this. When I landed that evening, I found divorce papers on the kitchen counter and a note saying she was at her parents' summer house 5 minutes away. We had agreed to talk immediately on my return, so I drove there. But I had a thought before getting into my truck. He says, SSM, remember the lawyers in her family? I once overheard them advise a younger relative on how to game a bankruptcy filing for his business. They coached him on how to max out his credit line for tangible goods from every single vendor that would allow it. Take possession of the goods while maintaining plausible deniability for the locations of the assets, meaning he wasn't the only one who had access to them. Lose the inventory until discovery deadlines expire, and then sell the assets to a trusted venue who was willing to pay cash for the items or fell off the back of a truck. So these lawyers have no problem. You know, they want to win, that's all, and obviously cheating and being deceitful and all that. Big fucking surprise. Their focus wasn't legality or morality, much less doing what was right. It was about the provable and turning their knowledge of the law into a weapon used to steal. Right. And they're going to do it to fuck you over, dude. I, on the other hand, care about what is right and wrong. Not what is legal, but about what is right and moral. I want to look back with pride on my life and my decisions. The idea that these lawyers and her family would manipulate the law in order to line their own pockets sat heavily with me. Well, you unfortunately have to fight fire with fire. They're not playing by the rules, but you want to, for honor. But you got to take care of you and take care of your boy. And I started to worry that this could be a ploy to try to set the tone for an upcoming divorce if I had in fact been planned. If they knew she'd be filing for divorce, instead of focusing on what was right in the divorce as I would, they would try to make it as favorable for her as they could at any cost. You bet your ass they're going to do that. So you have to be prepared to go to war. She and I had verbally agreed to meet, but there was nothing in writing to back that up. And she had changed where she was without telling me, knowing that I was likely to drive right there to speak to her. If they could make it look like her partner was violent and dangerous, showing up unannounced, potentially armed, and beating on the door during a marital dispute, it would help her in her plans to take my child out of state.
Yeah.
There you go.
Yeah.
You're fired up. She knows you have the conceal deal. She can make them all sorts of shit. I didn't know if I was being paranoid or not, but I had to know if it was a trap, and the best way to spring a trap is to walk into eyes wide open and prepared. So before driving over, I removed anything from my truck that could be construed as a weapon.
Yeah.
I didn't have so much as a pencil in it, and I drove over. When I pulled up, the lights were on, and I could hear our dogs barking from inside the house. I knocked on the door, and no one answered, although I could hear voices quietly coming from inside. After about 20 seconds of waiting, it was obvious she did not want to talk, so I left. Well, my suspicions about the trap were confirmed about 15 minutes later when I received a call from the sheriff's deputy saying that he'd been dispatched to a domestic disturbance and the person who called was Mercy's girlfriend.
Mm-hmm.
And she was afraid for both of their lives because I had a concealed carry permit and she considered me a dangerous man. There you go. She may be an asshole, she may be stupid with money, but she's obviously she's not dumb.
Bro, y'all hear this shit? Bro, y'all see how these women is, bro? Do y'all hear this shit? You take his son, which he has the right to see. Sex is a two-way street. You're not doing it by yourself. You know what I'm saying? Just like you give him some, he give you some. One is not over the other. Then you take his kid to another house and then say that man is a threat. These the people that a lot of people be having kids with, man. They don't know who they really having kids with. And then the crazy thing be some of these women can switch like that, like she did, cuz. Like, it's crazy, dog. Like, it's just crazy.
And setting you up. He had been dispatched before I even knocked on the door. I told him the truth, that I had agreed to speak to my wife as soon as I got home, and she left me a note telling me she was at her parents' house 5 minutes down the road, so I drove over to talk to her. That I was not armed, made no threats, and that I was currently at the gas station if he needed to come and interview or detain me. Your word against hers, dude. Who do you think the cop's gonna believe?
Exactly. The fragile, defenseless little woman, or the testosterone masculine man who plays with guns and hunt and kill animals. So she pretends to be the innocent victim.
They called them back and confirmed that with them and that I had not made any threats, which was smart for them because I decided to record my interactions just in case. Well, there you go. You finally acted smart here with regards to her. Well, my wife called me the next day and explained that it was her girlfriend who made the call, not her, and she knew I was not a threat to her or child. Sure.
Right.
I had the phone on speaker and had witnesses and recording of this conversation as well. At this point, I could see that things were going to get dirty, and this was likely all planned out. You bet your ass it was. Now you have to fight dirty. It's just unfortunate reality. I have no doubt that her and her girlfriend called the cops as soon as I pulled up and were sitting on the other side of the door with their own recordings, hoping and praying that I would lose my temper, yell, scream, or beat on the door. Anything that they could use to make me look violent, even though they knew I was not yet and am actually an extremely level-headed man. The next day, I hired the best attorney I could find and afford, and for advice to the letter. Yeah, good. You want to get your best attorney. And I like how he said it was I think he said it was a woman here.
Yeah.
The attorney gave me the estimated price for a contested divorce, and I decided I would rather that money go to provide for my child than a lawyer. So I offered my wife a one-time sweetheart of a deal. Half of everything, plus a check for $20,000, the attorney fee I was expecting. My only stipulation was that we avoid the attorneys and that she try not to take my child from me. But if she did fight, I would fight her for every penny and she would lose. Well, good. You think she's going to be easy? No. About a week later, I was informed by the police office that Mercy had filed for a restraining order against me, stemming from the domestic disturbance call from the previous week.
Bro, you see how she trying to play like innocent? Like, oh, it wasn't me. And she's doing this shit constantly. He's violent, restraining order. And she in his face being fake. Like, I couldn't take it, bro. Like, I gotta go get an attorney, lawyer. I want to get away from this person. I want to get away from this person. I want my son. I do not want this person in my life ever again. I'm good off this. I don't want to have to deal with this person for too long. Like, nah.
Shocker. So much for a smooth, easy divorce. Okay, time to go scorched earth, brother. Fortunately, the order had not been granted by the court because she could not claim I had made any threats towards her or did anything illegal. Her request simply stated that as a man with a concealed carry permit going through a divorce, that she felt unsafe in my presence as she didn't know anything about firearms or how to protect herself. My lawyer laughed when I told her that my soon-to-be ex-wife also had a concealed carry permit. She has one too? What blew me away was the deceitful nature Mercy was demonstrating. She knew full well that I would
Stupid.
never harm her, regardless of what she did. I could have walked in on her sleeping with another man, and I know in my heart of hearts that there was no point in fighting at that point, and I would simply walk away.
Yeah.
Well, I would be recorded, then walk away.
Yeah.
So the fact that she took this action told me all I need to know. During that week from when she submitted her request to when I was informed that they had failed, she was still speaking to me on the phone about saving the marriage, meeting me so I could see our child, all while waiting for her hammer to drop on me. Yep. Once I saw she requested a order of protection, I refused to communicate with her about anything other than our child. Refused to be alone with her and refused to meet for exchanges of our child anywhere that did not have video surveillance. You don't want to be anywhere alone with her without any witnesses or recordings, because, dude, it's your word against hers.
Right.
Who are they always going to believe? Think about it. Shortly after the point, I got a call from the county prosecutor who wanted to give me a heads up that an out-of-state law firm owned by Mercy's some of her family members had begun asking for any criminal records that may have related to me, as they were doing opposition research for an upcoming divorce. I guess they didn't account that small town folks talk. The prosecutor told me he had nothing to give them, but wanted to let me know. I thanked them graciously for the heads up. On a funnier note, SSM, Mercy and I set up a time when she could have come by the house with some moving men and her father to pack up some of her things. I had a sheriff's deputy do a civil standby to be a witness for me. Wow, that's smart. While we were married, Mercy kept what we call a toy box under her side of the bed that held her unmentionables that would get her through those long, cold nights alone when I was traveling. In other words, it's her vibrator collection.
Dildos.
Seeing the moving men and her father was starting to pack up her bed, and me still being a gentleman, I walked up to her to warn her that they were about to discover her toy box in front of her father. Before I could even get the word out, Mercy yelled for me not to come near her, as she thought I was so dangerous that I would attack her right then and there in front of everybody, including the deputy. I couldn't help it. I broke out laughing. I wouldn't have warned her about the box. Let her make a fool of herself. My laughing must have caught her off guard enough to listen when I quietly told her that her dad and the movers were about to discover her special box. The color drained from her face and she bolted into the bedroom, demanding everyone halt and leave the room for a minute, then close the door to retrieve it in privacy. While they were all wondering about the odd behavior, after she made a giant spectacle of yelling as if she was afraid of me, I should just informed her out loud in front of everyone that her father and the movers were about to find her dildo box. That's what I would have done.
I would have let it happen.
But just because I was still a gentleman did not mean I was taking chances. My rules were that I would only meet in public places with neutral witnesses. I recorded every interaction to the extent allowed by the law. I limited all contact to absolute essentials that focused on our child and continued asking for time and our young child while not fighting with her when she started to refuse my parenting time. In my entire divorce, I never raised my voice or cursed at her once. For all she could see, I was the image of Gandhi himself. You have to play calm and cool, because anything that can be used against you will be used. And she's proven that. You know, you didn't do anything, and she was still making up shit. I'm glad you had the good... So now is when you were starting to have good sense. When you knew it was over, you were starting to have good sense. But my God, man. Well, guys, this is the end of part 2. Now, part 3, which again will be in a couple hours, will be the ending here about how this whole thing plays out. He turns things around on her and walks away like a bandit, not to mention some very common sense info and things he's learned from all this whole debacle that you can pass on to guys out there if you're ever in a situation. So I'll see you in 2 hours. Definitely a good one.
All right, man. That's it for that one, man. I'm gonna see y'all boys in the next one. Keep God first. Stay blessed, man. Peace. Like, comment, subscribe. Yeah. And what y'all liked about this video, man. What y'all seen.